Today on the Busy Fan, we have the NFL draft recap. We'll tell you who did well and who didn't. We've got some NBA scores. There were some big games yesterday, so we'll tell you what happened, and we'll catch you up on what's going on in the MLB. All right. So I wanted to start off by talking about the teams who drafted well. This draft specifically, there were a few teams that did really well. There was a lot of teams who kind of just averaged out. There wasn't many like complete busts of drafts, but I don't really agree exactly with Pro Football Focus here. These are the teams that they gave A pluses. I don't think all of these teams deserved an A plus, maybe A's somewhere. But I just wanted to touch on it and show you the teams that did really well in the draft. Obviously, the Chicago Bears getting Justin Fields was huge for them. I think it was. I mean, I know it was the right move. My concern, and I talked about this in the last video, is that the coach and the GM are going to rush him into playing because their jobs are on the line, right? So they need him to play. They need him to play well immediately. So that's my only concern there. But I think that it was the right move. I think that they got other weapons and protection around him. I think the Bears had a really good draft, but I do have that concern. Now it all comes down to, can they coach him right? Can they put him in the right situations? And I guess we'll see. The Chargers really needed to protect Justin Herbert and get the rest of the offense ready around him, add a few weapons on the defense. The Chargers really underperformed last year compared to the level that Justin Herbert was playing. Everyone had him as like the best rookie last year, doing all of these things, but the team around him just was not strong enough. Chargers really added some key pieces around in order to make that happen and make their team uh, worthy, I guess, of his play. Then we'll move on to the Cleveland Browns. The Browns this year, they came in and said, "Hey, we have defensive problems. Our offense, they have tons of weapons on offense. Their running backs are amazing. Their receivers are amazing. Baker Mayfield is getting better every single season." But they came in knowing that their defense was lacking. And not just in the draft, but this whole offseason. They've been aggressive. They've gotten safeties, corners. They've added all of these key pieces that they need in order to be a real concern to teams in the league. So I think the Browns also had a really good draft. Again, I don't think everybody here is an A plus, but I think that the Browns did draft really well. And then finally, the Patriots. The Patriots. The theme of the Patriots this year is aggression. Not just with the draft, but all in free agency and everything. They've been pushing, trying to make their team better again. They're so used to being the most dominant franchise, and so it's weird. I'm sure it's weird for them to just be a non-playoff team. But they got Mac Jones. They've got some other. They got good protection for the offensive line. Bill Belichick did come out and say that Cam Newton is still his guy right now, but that's kind of what you say on draft day, right? You don't want to put pressure on Mac Jones like that. But Patriots are looking good. They have been aggressive all year. That defense is going to be a lot better without as many people opting out with the draft picks that they got. I think all of these teams did really well in the draft, and we could see big changes in all of them this year. So now let's go talk about the NBA a little bit. What's going on in the NBA? So what people are going to be talking about today at work, at school, or whatever is Lakers Raptors. That was a big one. So the Raptors beat the Lakers. This is a depleted Raptors team who has been struggling. A lot of their key players are injured, but they were still able to beat the Lakers, who have LeBron back and Anthony Davis. Now, obviously, they're not healthy yet. They're not at the place they want to be. LeBron is just working his way back into things. Anthony Davis, though, I think Anthony Davis is pretty healthy. I just don't think he thinks he's pretty healthy. Like, I think he's had enough time, he's recovered and everything, but he's just not being the aggressor that he's been in the past. Anthony Davis has always been labeled as somebody who, he doesn't want to be center. He wants to be a power forward. And people talk about how, oh, that's because he's not, tough enough and everything. But come the bubble last year, he showed up. He was super tough. He was banging down in the post. He was doing all these things. And right now, he's just not doing any of those. He'd rather stay outside because he just doesn't trust his body yet. So I think that is a real concern for the Lakers. The other thing that people are going to be talking about is LeBron. LeBron was talking about, if they're the 7th or 8th seed, then they'll be playing in the play-in tournament this year. And he said something like, whoever came up with that play-in tournament needs to be fired. So, I mean, it was like a joke, but it's just weird. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like you didn't care about it when you're the 1 seed, but now that you're down there, you're like, "Oh, it's the worst thing in the world." But it's actually been really good for league ratings and everything. Everyone's hyped on it because at this point, this is when teams start getting eliminated from the playoffs, so you stop caring as much about your favorite team because they're not gonna be in the playoffs anymore. But now very few teams will be eliminated from the playoffs this year until the play-in games start to happen. So it's been really good to keep people engaged, keep them caring. The ninth and 10th seed, people are still locked in because they'll have and even the 11th seed, because the 11th seed may be able to move up into one of those spots there. So it's been really good for the league, but LeBron was not happy with it because it's looking like it's a real possibility that he will have to play in it. So let's move down here. We have Suns beat the Thunder 123-120. The 76ers beat the Spurs 113-111. The 76ers now lead the East. They're the number 1 seed in the East because the Nets lost to the Bucks yesterday. That was a super exciting game. The Bucks or Giannis went for 49 points for the Bucks. Kevin Durant had like 42. Kyrie had 20 something, but it ended up with a three from Kevin Durant to tie the game, and he missed it at the end there. Obviously, without James Harden, um, the Nets still have more to come, but the Nets at this point, I don't think this game necessarily needs to be a concern, but just the lack of playing together has to be a concern for them. The fact that James Harden, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant have rarely played together, I would be concerned about going forward because I think we've seen in the past that it takes time for people to really gel together and become the best that they can be as a team. So that's what people are going to be talking about in the NBA. We'll go up to the MLB real fast and show some of these scores. I'm just going to quickly go through and show you the scores real fast, and then I will go back up and touch on what people will be talking about. So this is more for you to know your local teams. Take a look at where they were at, um, because obviously wherever you're local, that's what people are going to be talking about. But I will come back and talk about this Mets Phillies game here real fast. So the Mets Phillies, it was super exciting. The Mets were up like 4-8, no 5-8 going into the bottom of the ninth. The Phillies get up, 2 men on base, 2 outs. This guy cranks a home run to tie the game. Everyone's celebrating. Everyone's super happy. Tie game. We're gonna go to extra innings probably, unless somebody else can come in and deliver the walk off. But then they reviewed it, and the ball it hit the very top of the fence. So it hit the top of the railing and then came back. And so it was not a home run. They originally rolled it a home run. Everyone rounded the bases and scored. But then they looked back. They they said because it hit the top and came back in, it was a ground rule double. So he then went to second base, and then Bryce Harper came up for the Phillies and struck out, and they lost. So it was crazy because like their emotions were so high, they were so happy and everything, and then it just got slammed down, and they were brought back to reality that they had not won the game. So that people may be talking about that, especially if you're in these areas. People in Philadelphia are still going to be mad. The manager and everything were really mad because it was so close to being a home run, and it looked like a home run live. I would be bitter too. So that's what's going on. Let's take a look here real fast at NBA games today. Pacers, Wizards, Warriors, Pelicans. Warriors are one of those bubble teams right on the bubble there, so that'll be interesting to watch. 76ers, Bulls, Spurs, Jazz. Jazz are the 1 seed in the West right now, but it is close with them and the Suns, so that'll be interesting. And then Nuggets, Lakers, for exactly what I've been talking about. The Lakers are a fringe bubble team. They're like the 6th seed right now, so they may drop into the bubble spot, and LeBron would not be happy about it. So this will be interesting, and we just want to see if how LeBron plays, if he's able to get back to his the form he's been at all season, and if Anthony Davis will start playing the way that he played in the bubble last year, because that's what the Lakers are going to need. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a busy fan. See you tomorrow.